All right, volume of spheres, 16.3. So a sphere is a set of all points in space that are the same distance from a point called the center. A sphere is different from other solids that we have studied because it does not have a base. So think like a ball. So the formula for volume of a sphere is 4/3 times pi times your radius cubed. So in example 1, our radius is 4. So we have volume equals 4/3 times pi times 4 cubed. And so on the calculator, to do 4 cubed, you do 4. And then you could do times 4 times 4. Or you can hit this little XY button. And so you hit XY and then 3. And so it's saying 4 raised to the 3rd power, which is 64. So we have 4/3 pi times 64. Your homework questions will give you, there's 2 types. So it either says leave in terms of pi, or it says to round to the nearest tenth. So I want to show you what both answers would look like. So if it says leave in terms of pi, you would multiply 4 times 64, because that's the same as 64 over 1. And then you would just multiply the top 2 numbers and the bottom numbers. So 64 times 4 is 256 over 3, because 3 times 1. And then pi would be your volume. So if your question asks you to leave it in terms of pi, this is what your answer would look like. If it does not say to leave in terms of pi, but rather to round to the nearest tenth, you're going to then hit divided by 3, because this is like doing divided by 3. And then the way that Big Ideas is having you do this, it then has you just do times pi instead of times 3.14. And so it changes your answer a little bit if you only use 3.14. So we use pi, and then we're going to round this to the nearest tenth. So we have 268.08, and that 8 makes that 0 round up to a 1. So our volume equals 268.1. And then it would be centimeters cubed. So that's our final answer. So let's do this again. This time they only give us the diameter, which is 10. So that means that our radius is 5. So we have volume equals 4/3 times pi times our radius, which was 5, to the 3rd power. So again, you can do 5 times 5 times 5, or you can hit 5, the XY button, so it adds a little caret there, and then to the 3rd. So that's 125. On our calculators at school, it just has a little caret button that you would press. So you have 4/3 times pi times 125. If it says to leave in terms of pi, then you're going to multiply 4 times 125. We get 500. And leave it over 3, because that 3 will make it a repeating decimal. And then times pi. So then it would be feet cubed if it says to leave in terms of pi. If it says to round to the nearest tenth, then we are going to do 500 divided by 3 times pi. And so that gives us 523.59. That 9 is going to make that 5 round up to a 6. So our volume equals 523.6 feet cubed. So you need to make sure that you read the instructions on how they want your answer. So now pause the video and then complete the triads, and when you're done, hit play and check your answers with mine. All right, so our radius is 2. So we have volume equals 4/3 times pi times our radius, which was 2 to the 3rd power, or 2 times 2 times 2. So we have 4/3 times pi times 8. So again, you multiply that top number times our whole number. So 4 times 8 is going to be 32 divided by 3. And then times pi. So we get volume equals 33.5 because that 1 keeps the 5 as a 5. So our volume equals 33.5 millimeters cubed. Volume equals, our diameter was 16, so our radius is 8. So we have 4/3 times pi times 8 cubed. So 8 to the 3rd power is 512 times pi times 4/3. So again, multiply that top number times your whole number, because it's like this is over 1. And then you do 3 times 1. So 4 times 512, 2,048. 3 times 1 is just 3, times pi. So over 3 is the same as dividing by 3. And then times pi. So we have 2,144.7, because that 6 makes that 6 round up to a 7. So 2,144.7 feet cubed. And that would be our final answer.